The galaxy was wide, filled with millions of stars and thousands of empires, but one word always brought laughter whenever it was spoken. That word was human. Across the great academies, the alien scholars called it a joke. In the military councils, admirals mocked it. In the marketplaces of far colonies, it was nothing more than a story to entertain children. No one believed humans were real. They were only a myth, an old legend carried from forgotten times. Some said humans were the ghosts of a lost people, others claimed they were angels or demons invented by primitive minds. The galaxy was sure. Humans never existed. Yet in the shadows of deep space, strange rumors traveled from one explorer to another. Pilots spoke of ruins on dead worlds marked with strange writing, ruins that did not match any known species. Wreckage was sometimes found drifting in dark sectors, broken machines with designs no alien race could understand. Those who told such tales were mocked, yet they swore what they had seen was true. Some captains whispered that in the empty silence beyond the star maps, someone was still watching, still waiting. One night in the Grand Archive of the Yulthar Dominion, a council of scholars debated the myths again. An old historian rose, holding a tablet full of faded records. He spoke softly. There was a time when humans walked among the stars. They were betrayed, erased, and forgotten. But the silence of history does not mean they are gone. The chamber erupted in laughter. The council dismissed him, calling him a fool chasing ghosts. The record was sealed, and the Empire returned to business. To them, humans were nothing. But far away, deep beyond the edge of known space, a signal stirred. It was faint at first, like an echo buried under static. Patrol ships of the Zarnak Empire picked it up by accident. At first, they thought it was a pirate code or an ancient beacon. Then the static cleared, and a voice broke through. The voice was firm, deep, and unlike anything they had ever heard before. It said only one thing: this is the human Armada. We are coming. The Zarnak officers froze. For a moment, silence filled the bridge. Then they laughed nervously, recording the message and sending it to their capital. The Empire's leaders received it, examined it, and declared it a trick. A false signal made to create panic. Yet even the bravest admirals felt a shadow crawl across their minds. What if the myth was not a myth? Days passed. Fleets patrolled the borders. Still, the strange unease grew. The signal repeated again and again. This is the human Armada. We are coming. Finally, sensors in the farthest outposts began to detect movement. Something massive was emerging from deep space, from regions no one dared to travel. At first the reports were dismissed, but then hundreds of scans confirmed it. Ships were coming. Not alien ships. Not pirates. Something else. Something old. Something powerful. In the trade stations and colonies, the rumors spread faster than fire. Citizens whispered in fear. The humans are back. Markets closed. Refugees fled border systems. The galaxy had no proof, yet every mind felt the same chill. Because for centuries, the myth had said that if humans returned, it would not be quietly. It would be with fire. It would be with vengeance. And it would change everything. The first clear image arrived when a scout drone caught sight of a massive warship. Its hull was black, scarred with the marks of ancient battles. Alien experts studied it and failed to identify its design. No empire in the galaxy had such ships. The drone sent more images before being destroyed. And in the last transmission, for only a second, the crew saw a symbol painted on the ship's side. It was simple, strange, and unforgettable, the mark of humanity. Panic spread across the ruling empires. Meetings were called in secret chambers. Some leaders argued it was impossible, that these were clever impostors using fear as a weapon. Others argued the galaxy had made a mistake long ago, and the humans had never truly been destroyed. In every palace, in every war council, one truth spread like poison. The myth was no longer safe to laugh at. It had returned to life. But what did the humans want? Were they conquerors? Were they saviors? Or were they something worse? The alien rulers had no answer. All they had was the same voice repeating across the stars. This is the human Armada. We are coming. And as the stars shifted and the fleets gathered, the galaxy realized a truth it had ignored for centuries. The forgotten myth was knocking on their door. And this time, it would not be ignored. The galaxy waited in fear as the mysterious signal repeated again and again. Some thought it was only a cruel trick, but then the scanners of border stations confirmed the truth. Ships were coming out of deep space, ships so large that their size dwarfed the fleets waiting to intercept them. The first alien empire to face them was the Zarnak Empire, famous for its ruthless navy. Their admirals believed the intruders were pirates or lost travelers who could be crushed with a single battle. So they gathered their best fleet, 50 warships armed with plasma cannons, ready to show the galaxy that the so-called human Armada was nothing but a lie. The two forces met at the edge of an empty system. The Zarnak admiral broadcasted a message full of arrogance. Unknown fleet, identify yourselves. You are trespassing in Zarnak space. Surrender, and we will show mercy. For a long moment, there was silence. The alien officers smirked, thinking the enemy was too afraid to answer. But then the speakers came alive, and a voice filled with calm steel replied, "We are the human Armada. We do not surrender. Stand aside, or be swept aside." The Zarnak admiral laughed and ordered his fleet to open fire. Plasma beams lit up the void, burning across space. Explosions rocked the stars as the Zarnak ships released their fury. For a moment, the galaxy thought the battle would be over quickly. But when the smoke cleared, the human ships were still standing. Their shields glowed, their armor remained unbroken, and not a single vessel had fallen. Then the humans moved. Their warships advanced with precision, their cannons firing weapons the aliens had never seen before. Blinding lances of energy cut through Zarnak shields as if they were paper. One by one, the alien ships exploded, powerless to resist. In less than 10 minutes, the mighty Zarnak fleet was reduced to burning wreckage. Only a single crippled ship was left alive to carry the story back to the Empire. The news spread faster than light. Every empire, every council, every colony whispered the same words, "The humans are real." Panic filled the great halls of power. Admirals demanded answers. Scholars searched their oldest records. Some remembered ancient warnings, that humans were once strong, too strong, and had been cast into the dark. Others whispered that the humans had never been defeated, only waiting for the right time to return. Now, it seemed, that time had come. But the strangest thing was the behavior of the human fleet. After destroying the Zarnak warships, they did not attack colonies or burn planets. Instead, they simply sent a short message across every open channel: "We did not come for conquest. But we will not be stopped." The message confused the galaxy. If humans did not want war, then why bring such a terrifying armada? Why reveal themselves now after centuries of silence? The questions spread like wildfire, and no one had answers. Meanwhile, in distant systems, merchant ships reported strange encounters. Human patrol craft appeared out of nowhere, scanning their cargo but never firing. Refugees told stories of being saved by human cruisers when pirates attacked. Some captains swore they saw human marines, tall figures in dark armor, rescuing civilians from burning stations. These stories made the galaxy even more uneasy. The humans were powerful, yet they were not acting like conquerors. They were acting like guardians, though no one understood why. The Zarnak Empire, humiliated and afraid, tried to cover up their defeat. But it was too late. The images of burning ships and destroyed fleets were already spreading. Other empires now had to choose. Should they prepare for war against the humans, or should they try to talk to them? Suspicion ran deep, and old rivalries grew sharper. The galaxy was divided, and the return of humanity only made the cracks wider. On the bridge of a massive human battleship, the commanders spoke in quiet voices. They had revealed themselves sooner than planned, but the galaxy had to know the truth. Humanity had not survived the dark centuries just to vanish again. They had returned with purpose. The enemy they had trained to fight was not the Zarnak, nor any empire of the galaxy. It was something far worse, something still coming. But the aliens did not yet know this, and until the time was right, the humans would only show them glimpses of their true strength. The next weeks were filled with fear and rumor. Colonies locked their gates. Armies prepared for invasion. Spies tried to infiltrate the human fleet but found nothing but silence. The galaxy now believed in the myth, but belief brought no comfort. Because now the myth had teeth, ships, and an army unlike anything they had faced. The first battle had proved one thing beyond doubt. Humans were no longer just stories in dusty books. They were real, and they were unstoppable. And as their armada moved deeper into the galaxy, every empire asked the same question in dread. If humans were not here to conquer, then why had they returned? The galaxy could not rest after the battle at the edge of Zarnak space. Every race had seen the recordings. Every leader had heard the message. Humans were real. They had returned, and their armada was stronger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. But the question spread like fire through every council and every home. Where had humans been all this time, and how had they built such power in silence? Scholars searched ancient archives. They found fragments of history, half-burned records, and forbidden tales. The more they looked, the more they saw the same story repeated. Long ago, humans had walked among the stars, but they were betrayed. They had stood alone against jealous empires, outnumbered and outgunned, until the galaxy declared them erased. That was the myth everyone had believed. But now it was clear. The myth was wrong. Humans had not died. They had only disappeared. On the human flagships, the commanders revealed the truth to a chosen few. Long ago, when the galaxy turned against them, humanity had been pushed into the dark edges of space. Worlds were burned, colonies destroyed, and survivors driven beyond the maps. But instead of ending, they adapted. They built in silence, using the scraps of old fleets, turning wreckage into the first ships of a hidden armada. They taught their children that the galaxy could not be trusted, that only strength and unity would keep them alive. And as centuries passed, they grew sharper, harder, and more dangerous. The galaxy thought exile meant death. But exile had become their greatest teacher. Humans had learned to survive in regions where no alien dared to go. They had mastered navigation in black holes and storms of radiation. They had discovered sciences the galaxy had forgotten, technologies banned by old treaties. Their engineers rebuilt weapons not seen for 1,000 years, and then improved them until they were unmatched. Every scar of suffering became fuel for growth, every loss became a lesson carved into their culture. Where other empires grew fat and lazy with comfort, humanity grew ruthless with discipline. But there was another secret, one even greater than their weapons. In the silent corners of deep space, humanity had discovered signs of something terrible. A threat greater than all alien empires combined. Records from ancient probes, signals from outside the galaxy, patterns in dying stars, they all told the same story. Something was coming, something that consumed worlds and left nothing alive. While the galaxy mocked the myth of humans, the humans prepared for the real nightmare. They built fleets not to conquer, but to stand against the storm. And now, after centuries, they had finally returned. Not for revenge. Not for empire. But because time was running out. Yet the galaxy did not know this truth. From the outside, all they saw was an unstoppable armada moving across their borders. They could not believe the humans had survived without hatred. They could not imagine that the same race they had once betrayed would come back with restraint. Alien rulers whispered to each other, "Why are the humans waiting? Why do they not strike? Why do they defend but not invade?" The confusion made the galaxy more unstable. Fear twisted into suspicion, and suspicion into hate. But still, the humans held their silence. Among the common people, however, another kind of story spread. Refugees told of human cruisers protecting them from raiders. Merchants claimed human patrols guided them safely through dangerous zones. Survivors of pirate attacks swore that armored soldiers with human faces had pulled them from the wreckage. These stories painted a picture very different from the one told by alien governments. To the frightened and the weak, humans were not demons. They were guardians. But to the powerful, that only made them more dangerous. A race with strength and mercy could not be controlled. In the hidden chambers of the human armada, the leaders debated their next move. They knew the galaxy was not ready for the truth. If the aliens learned too soon about the real enemy, panic would destroy everything. But if they waited too long, the galaxy would turn its full strength against them. Humanity walked a razor's edge, trying to hold back its full power until the time was right. Their greatest weapon was not their cannons or their ships. It was patience. And patience was running thin. Across the stars, the whispers grew louder. The galaxy wanted answers. Who were the humans now? What did they want? And what secrets were they hiding? The mystery spread into every council hall, every tavern, every shipyard. Some begged for alliance. Others prepared for war. But none could shake the same uneasy thought. If humans had survived in silence for so long, then what else had they seen in the dark? What else were they hiding? And in the void between galaxies, beyond the reach of any empire's sensors, shadows moved. Massive forms drifted through the black, devouring everything in their path. The threat was real, and it was growing closer. Humanity knew it. Humanity had always known it. That was why they returned. The galaxy thought they were the danger. But the truth was far worse. The real danger had not yet arrived. The galaxy stood at a crossroads. The human armada had destroyed the Zarnak fleet and moved deeper into known space, yet it had not attacked colonies or demanded tribute. Instead, it defended weak systems, protected trade ships, and disappeared again into the shadows. This strange behavior confused every empire. Some leaders believed humans were waiting for the right moment to conquer, while others argued they were trying to warn the galaxy of something greater. The uncertainty was more dangerous than open war, and soon every council chamber was filled with arguments and fear. In the halls of the Talek Confederation, senators shouted at one another. Half of them demanded immediate peace talks with the humans. They said humanity's return could be a chance for alliance and survival. The other half accused them of treason, insisting that humans could never be trusted. One senator raised his voice and declared, "If we bow to them, we become slaves. If we resist them, we might still live free." His words spread across the Confederation like fire, and the divide grew wider. Meanwhile, the Zarnak Empire licked its wounds. Their lost fleet was a humiliation no ruler could endure. The Zarnak warlords prepared for revenge, gathering more ships and forcing every colony to send soldiers. To them, humanity was not a guardian but a rival that had to be crushed before it grew too strong. Zarnak propaganda painted humans as monsters, ghosts who drank the blood of their enemies, demons who would burn planets to ash. Citizens were taught to hate the very idea of humanity, even though few had ever seen one. But in smaller empires and border colonies, another kind of story was spreading. Refugees who had been saved by human ships told their tales. They described soldiers in black armor who carried injured children, engineers who repaired broken life support systems, and captains who refused payment for their help. These stories made people question the lies of their governments. If humans were demons, why would they risk their lives to save strangers? Hope began to take root in places the great empires could not control. Inside the Galactic Council, the greatest meeting of rulers in centuries took place. Alien leaders gathered in a chamber so vast it held entire cities within its walls. Holograms of fleets and star maps floated above them. Every word was recorded. Some leaders argued for peace, others demanded war, and many were too afraid to speak. One question repeated again and again: what did the humans want? But the humans gave no answer. Their armada remained silent, watching, waiting, like hunters in the dark. The great divide grew sharper. The Keleth Union offered to open peace talks with humanity, hoping for trade and protection. In response, the Zarnak Empire accused them of betrayal and threatened invasion. The Talek Confederation split apart as its senators turned on each other. Civil war loomed in the shadows. Entire empires began to fracture, not because of human weapons, but because of human silence. The myth had returned, and it was tearing the galaxy in half. In the hidden chambers of their flagship, the human commanders watched these events unfold. They spoke in quiet voices, their faces cold with discipline. "They fear us more than they fear the real enemy," one captain said. Another replied, "They must fear us now, or they will never follow us when the time comes." Humanity's strategy was dangerous. By showing strength but holding back from conquest, they forced the galaxy to reveal its true nature. Allies and enemies would show themselves long before the real war began. But even the strongest plan could not stop blood from being spilled. When the Zarnak Empire launched a second fleet to attack humanity, the battle shook the stars. Hundreds of ships clashed in burning light. Once again, the humans fought with precision and power, tearing the Zarnak forces apart. This time, however, the entire galaxy was watching. Across thousands of worlds, civilians saw the truth with their own eyes. The mighty Zarnak war machine, feared for centuries, was destroyed in hours by human fire. The myth was no longer just rumor. It was proof. The sight changed everything. Some empires now begged for alliance, terrified of facing the humans alone. Others doubled their hatred, promising to fight until their last breath. The galaxy had split, not into two sides, but into many. Some wanted war, some wanted peace, and some wanted only to survive. Humanity's return had revealed the cracks hidden under the galaxy's surface. Now those cracks were opening into deep wounds. On quiet nights, in the dark between stars, ordinary people whispered their fears. Was this the end of their world? Would humans rise as conquerors, or as saviors? No one knew. But every passing day brought the same truth closer. The galaxy could no longer deny the myth. Humans were real, and their armada was unstoppable. The Great Divide had begun, and no empire could escape it. The Galactic Council Chamber had never been so crowded. Leaders from every empire filled the vast hall, their voices sharp with fear and anger. The question of humanity was no longer a myth but the most urgent problem in the galaxy. Some demanded alliance, others demanded war, but all of them agreed on one thing. Something had to be done before the human armada grew too powerful. The Great Divide had already shattered trust among empires, and whispers of civil war echoed in every corner of known space. The Council demanded that humanity appear and explain itself. For weeks they sent messages into the void, and at last, humanity answered. A massive human battleship entered orbit above the Council world. Its black hull blocked the stars, and its presence alone silenced entire cities. No fleet dared to fire upon it, for every empire had already seen what happened to the Zarnak war machine. The chamber filled with tense silence as a figure appeared through the great doors. A human walked into the council hall for the first time in centuries. The alien rulers stared in shock. The human was tall, armored, and carried himself with calm strength. His voice echoed across the chamber without anger, without pride, but with unshakable certainty. "We are not here for conquest," he said. "We are not here for revenge. We are here because something worse is coming, and you are not ready." The council erupted in outrage. Many shouted that humanity was lying, that this was a trick to gain power. But the human commander raised his hand, and the holograms flickered to life. Images filled the hall, recordings from the edge of the galaxy. Stars collapsing, planets burned to dust, entire systems vanishing in silence. Then came the sound, a signal from beyond the rim. It was not a voice, not a language, but a deep hunger, a sound that felt like death itself. The chamber fell quiet. Even the most arrogant rulers trembled. Humanity had shown them the truth. The commander spoke again. "You laugh at our return. You fear our strength. But we are not your enemy. We built our fleets for this. An enemy from outside your stars is coming. It devours everything, and it will not stop until nothing remains. You call us a myth. But when the storm arrives, you will call us something else, your last hope. His words struck the chamber like thunder. Some rulers begged for more proof, but others refused to believe. They called it fear-mongering, a way to make the galaxy bow to human rule. The divide grew deeper. Entire factions formed overnight. The Alliance of the Brave swore to join humanity, while the Coalition of Purity declared humans were liars and must be destroyed. The galaxy was now preparing for two wars, one against itself, and one against the shadow beyond the stars. In the streets of the Council world, common people spoke in hushed voices. Some wept in fear, others cheered with hope. For the first time, they saw humanity not as demons but as protectors. The refugees who had told their stories were now believed. Humanity had returned not to conquer, but to warn. Yet the truth did not bring peace. Instead, it made the galaxy more unstable. Every empire prepared armies. Every admiral sharpened his fleets. Rumors spread that humans held more weapons than they had revealed, weapons that could shatter planets. Some wanted to ally before it was too late. Others wanted to strike before the humans grew even stronger. The galaxy was a firestorm waiting to ignite. In the shadows of their flagship, the human leaders spoke quietly. They knew their warning had been given, but the galaxy was not ready to listen. Fear was still stronger than unity. One commander whispered, "We may need to prove it the hard way. They must see the enemy with their own eyes." Another replied, "If we wait too long, they will destroy themselves before the true war begins." Humanity had carried its secret for centuries, and now the weight of that secret pressed harder than ever. They had shown the galaxy the truth, but the truth alone might not be enough. Weeks passed, and the council grew silent. Old rivals began to arm against each other again. The humans had planted a seed of fear, but also a seed of hope. It was the first time in history that every empire looked beyond their borders and saw the same threat. The problem was that not all of them believed. And even those who did were too proud to admit it. The human fleet remained above the council world for several days, then departed without firing a shot. Their last message echoed across the stars, "You are not ready. Only united, you survive." The words haunted every ruler, every soldier, every child who heard them. The galaxy now faced a terrible choice. They could stand with humanity and prepare for the darkness, or they could turn against humanity and waste their strength on pride. The warning had been given. The future of every world now depended on whether they listened or ignored it. And in the endless black beyond the rim, something vast was moving closer, hungering for the light of the stars. The galaxy did not have to wait long for the truth. Only weeks after the humans delivered their warning, strange signals came from the edge of the void. Patrol ships vanished without trace. Colonies near the rim stopped sending messages. At first, rulers thought this was more human deception, but then the sensors confirmed it. Something vast was moving in from beyond the galaxy. Not ships, not fleets, but living shadows that swallowed entire systems. The real enemy had arrived. The first battle came in the Keleth Union, where hundreds of alien warships faced the unknown invaders. The enemy was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It did not communicate. It did not negotiate. Its vessels were like living machines, black and endless, feeding on energy itself. The Keleth fleet fought bravely, but within hours their ships were drained dry, their weapons silenced, their worlds stripped bare. Panic swept across the galaxy. The humans had been telling the truth. The nightmare was real. As the darkness spread, empires scrambled to save themselves. Fleets retreated. Borders collapsed. Refugees filled the stars, fleeing from the rim toward the safer core systems. For the first time in history, the galaxy faced a single common enemy. But unity did not come. Old rivalries still burned, and many rulers still whispered that humanity had brought this horror upon them. Accusations filled the council. Fear broke trust. Civilizations prepared for their own survival, even if it meant abandoning others to die. The galaxy was falling apart just as the storm closed in. Then, when all hope seemed lost, the human armada revealed its true strength. From the dark sectors where no alien dared to go, ship after ship emerged. Battleships larger than cities, carriers filled with fighters, cruisers bristling with weapons unknown to the galaxy. What had appeared before was only a fraction of humanity's power. Now the full armada came forth, a tide of steel and fire stretching across the stars. The galaxy watched in silence as the humans advanced directly toward the invading enemy. They did not run. They did not hide. They attacked. The battle was like nothing ever recorded. Human ships moved with perfect precision, their weapons striking with terrifying force. Where alien fleets had crumbled in minutes, the humans held the line. Their energy weapons cut through the black vessels. Their shields resisted the draining attacks. Every explosion lit the void with hope. For the first time, the invaders were stopped. Alien refugees watching the transmissions wept with relief. The myth had become their shield. Humanity was real, and it was saving them. But victory did not come easily. The enemy was endless, its swarms without number. For every vessel destroyed, more emerged from the void. Human commanders knew this was only the beginning. Still, they fought on, proving that the galaxy was not helpless. The council chambers filled with astonished silence as they watched the impossible unfold. The humans were not demons, not conquerors. They were warriors standing between the galaxy and extinction. Everything the empires had feared was now turned upside down. The strength they had dreaded was the very strength that could save them. Among the alien rulers, shame and fear mixed together. They had mocked the myth, laughed at the stories, and even plotted against the returning humans. Now they saw the truth. Without humanity, the galaxy would already be burning. Some leaders begged for alliance, sending messages of surrender and trust. Others still clung to pride, refusing to admit they had been wrong. But ordinary people no longer cared what their rulers said. Across colonies and cities, billions whispered the same words. Thank the humans. For the first time, the galaxy believed in them. On the bridge of the human flagship, the commanders studied the battle with grim eyes. They had won the first clash, but the enemy was vast, stretching beyond imagination. The war had only begun. One commander spoke softly. They finally see us. Now they must decide if they will stand with us. Another replied, if they choose division, they will fall. If they choose unity, they may survive. The choice is theirs. Humanity had carried the burden of knowledge alone for centuries, but now the galaxy shared that weight. The time of myths was over. The last transmission from the humans that day spread across every world. Their message was simple. The enemy has arrived. We can hold the line, but we cannot win alone. Stand with us, or be destroyed. The words struck deep into every heart. Empires that once mocked humanity now faced a terrible choice. Join the myth reborn, or vanish into the dark. And as the human armada pushed deeper into battle, the galaxy finally understood the truth. The humans had not returned for conquest or revenge. They had returned because they were the last shield of hope. The Armada's true purpose was clear: to lead the galaxy in its greatest war, or to die trying.